After going to Rio for the first time on a photography commission and also for my friend's wedding and having a look around one of the favelas, Santa Marta there, I was really inspired to come back and tell a story, and I really wanted to tell a positive story. That was the first thing, because what I experienced myself was very positive, but what I had seen previously in films and in the news was always extremely negative. I wanted to highlight the importance of community in Rio de Janeiro, especially in the favelas, which I think is something that we've lost in a lot of the Western cities and lifestyles that we find ourselves in these days. For instance, in my apartment building, I don't really know anybody there. I would never think of going and knocking on somebody's door to ask them for anything. But in Rio, it's exactly the opposite. So people that are especially living in the favelas will constantly, they'll drop their kid off at their neighbor's house if they have to go down into town for something, or they need something, picked up from the chemist. They'll definitely send one of their friends or their neighbors. And that value of having a community around you that's so incredibly supportive and uplifting, it's just something that we've totally lost a lot of concept for. And I really wanted that to come out in my documentary. I wanted people to watch it and realize that Rio isn't, and especially the favelas, aren't just places where people are constantly firing high-powered rifles at each other, but actually it's a place where, people can live a lifestyle that's about more than, the latest iPhone, or, taking the tube to make sure to get to King's Cross by 9:01 on their way to work in the morning. So before I went to Rio on this trip to start filming, I was using a 5D Mark III for a lot of the jobs I was doing around town. Great camera for me at the time because I'm a photographer and I do a lot of video, a lot of corporate stuff. So that was the one that I brought out with me to Rio the first time. When the 1DC came out, I was immediately attracted to it because I knew that I'd be able to do 4K for landscapes. I was going to be able to get 4:2:2 color space, and also the crop 35 sensor was going to give me more of a cinematic look and a lot more room to play in the grade. Before I went out to Rio, I had a vague idea of the type of look that I was going to have in my film because I had been shooting some stills on my first trip there. And really the colors of Rio, and especially in the favelas, just speak for themselves. It's a lot of kind of sun-washed, kind of baby chick yellow and robin's egg blue and turquoise colors that are just beautiful. And as soon as you get there and you start looking around, those colors make themselves apparent. And so I knew that the film was going to try and stay true to that more than anything, as opposed to trying to whack in a load of contrast to make it seem really edgy or anything. I knew that I was basically just going to be informed by the color palette that was there and just try and make that come out in the most appealing way that I could. Whilst I was on location, I didn't really have any time to do anything with lookup tables. I kind of had enough faith in the picture profile I was using and the equipment I was using to just hit record. I just recorded as I say, in the flattest possible setting with Canon log a lot of the time on the 1DC, knowing that when I got back home, I would have time to do all that stuff. I'd love to go back to Rio. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of interesting stories there happening all the time. Some of them are quite sad, some of them are very, very uplifting, and there's basically just a smorgasbord of amazing stories happening all the time. So any chance that I get, any opportunity I get to go back to Rio to continue filming, I would certainly jump on that. At the moment, my main objective is to get the current film that I finished out to the widest possible audience that I can find. And after that, I'll definitely look at follow-up trips or moving on to the next story in a different part of the world.